Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Total Truth Show. And here on the Total Truth Show, we want to help you break free from the lies and propaganda of the mainstream media, all the disinformation and misinformation. We want to help you blast through all of that. And my name is Ken Kleinberg, coming to you all the way from the USA, San Diego, California.
And I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen from the Gold Coast in Australia.
There is a great awakening happening in the world right now, and you're going to want to come along for the ride.
A lot of lies are coming to the surface. There's a lot of awakening happening, and as this awakening is happening, people realize they've been deceived for years. They've been lied to for years around all sorts of things. A lot of people have been blind to what has been going on in the world, and now they're starting to see. They're starting to see things in a different light.
Through our show, we want to raise global consciousness to quantum critical mass. And we don't want you just to accept the things that we're saying. That goes for our guests as well. We want you to do the research for yourself. Get out there and start questioning things. Start looking things up. Do the research. We want to pave the way for a new awakened world. And we want you to come along for the ride. So with that, let's get started, you guys. Let's dive into today's episode. Once again, welcome.
Welcome aboard Total Truth Show, episode 85, the truth about how to get what you want. This is going to be a hot topic, I can just tell. We have an amazing guest with us who we will introduce in just a moment, and my co-host, of course, Ken Kleinberg. How are you going there, Ken?
Doing absolutely wonderful.
Fantastic. Now, about our guest, we have Jay Gauthier Sr with us. He's a pastor, author, and senior marketing director with over 14 years in the financial industry. He's known for his inspiring messages of audacious faith and practical guidance. He combines nearly 4 decades of ministry experience with a deep understanding of personal finance and family legacy. He's done books, podcasts, community initiatives, all geared towards empowering people to live with purpose and resilience. He has a passion for helping people and extending beyond his role as a mentor, guiding people towards financial freedom and spiritual growth is a big thing for him. And his latest book, The Audacious Faith Playbook, is designed as both a personal guide and a movement, offering readers practical plays to overcome challenges and live a life of impact. Welcome, Jay.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be with you guys tonight.
Great to have you here all the way from California, not too far from Ken, I believe.
Yeah, about 2 hours.
Just 2 hours apart. That's it.
Fantastic. That's by car, is it, or by plane?
Oh, by car. Yeah, definitely car.
By car, yeah. Beautiful. All right, Jay. So what an amazing history you have, finance and being a pastor, etc. So how did you get into this?
Well, you know, I went into ministry. I actually did not grow up in church, so that was kind of interesting. And I would never have expected to be a pastor. And then that kind of changed really quickly. I was actually totally into music. That was my life. And then God just kind of reached in and grabbed me in a different direction. But so that's kind of how that kind of happened. I then kind of had a burden, especially for young people. I had heard a message of a recording of a young man who was 16 years of age, and he actually was recording a suicide message to his mom. You actually hear the gunshot at the end of the tape. And that was something that really rung in my ear. I mean, I just couldn't shake that. And I thought to myself at that moment, I thought, what would have it taken to change that? Would it just been somebody who had some type of impact in that person's life, just some conversation, someone there to hear him? And I kind of made a commitment that day. I felt a very strong call that whatever it is that I needed to do, I was willing to do it. And that's kind of how I got into ministry. And then, you know, long story short, years later, I mean, we'll get into this as we go, but basically I thought I was just going to impact the world that way. But things didn't go exactly the way I expected. It was a little more limited in scope. And then I kind of, through personal adversity and everything, ended up in the financial world as well, which totally expanded my reach as far as people and who I was, impacting. So it kind of was by design, I'm sure, not mine, but it was by design. And the rest is kind of history. But yeah, it's been a great ride so far.
Amazing. And of course, wealth creation is very important. And it actually talks about that in the Bible too, doesn't it? It talks about how, we are designed to have abundance, right? And there's specific scriptures around wealth, because a lot of people sort of relate wealth to being evil or being greedy and, all that kind of stuff. So when we talk today about the truth about how to get what you want, we're not just talking about financially, we're talking about in all areas of life, how to get what you want. And obviously, if we have more money, then we have more options. Generally, we're able to do more with that. We're able to help more with that. And there's so much more we can do. So there is quite a correlation there, isn't there? What are your thoughts around people's mindsets around wealth and around finances?
Well, people will say that the love of money is the root of all evil, and that is definitely a biblical verse. But it's not. Money in itself is not evil. That's the thing. Money is a tool. Is basically what it is. And like you were already mentioning, if you want to help people, it's hard to do that if you can't even help yourself. So even when we're in an airplane, for example, the first thing they tell you on the instructions is when the oxygen mask comes down, put it in your own mouth first and over your own nose, because otherwise you're not going to be able to help anybody. And there's a lot of well-meaning people out there in the world today who are wanting to help people, but they can't even pay their own bills. And so that's a real reason why financial literacy, knowing how to invest, knowing how to maximize your funds, knowing how to be a good steward of things is extremely important to be able to make an impact to others around you.
Yeah, and I think being very selective about who you trust when it comes to your finances too, because we've seen a lot of scammers come about. In fact, just my bank account, just in the last few days, I've had 2 bank accounts scammed. I had to close one credit card and the other one I'll be following up with as well. But, these scammers are getting so good now at taking money out of people's bank accounts. And then, I've had financial advisors in the past where I've lost a lot of money trusting certain people around my finances that unfortunately ended up going in the other direction. So what's your advice around that? How to be discerning with who we trust when it comes to financial management?
Yeah, you really need to check out who you have. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, Aldwyn, because that's kind of how I got started in financial industry to begin with, because basically I was pretty much messed up by people that I thought I could trust. I was in a situation where it's kind of funny that I ended up in finance, because right before that I was basically got to a point where it was pretty much broke. And what had happened with that was because right around 2008, when everything was going on, I had people coming and saying, hey, we'll refi, we'll get you a new loan, we'll do all this. And they totally misrepresented what they were doing. And so I ended up being in a situation where I was just buried and kind of got total horrible advice. We lost our house. There was a point in life where my wife was working as a teacher. The church wasn't doing well financially because a lot of people were struggling. And so I basically wasn't even getting paid. We had just paid the rent and she wasn't going to get paid for 4 months, and we had $28 in the account. And I was thinking, how in the world are we going to just, live the rest of the month here? And basically it hit rock bottom at that particular point. And a lot of it was due to the fact that we were totally misled by people that were not honest with what we were doing. So even in the financial industry, I will tell you, there's great people in the financial industry, but there's also a lot of people that are not. So it's very important. Check them out, see a relationship, get reviews. That's why, if you know somebody that has had a good experience with someone, that's what you want to go with, not just people that solicit you.
Mm. Yes, I've unfortunately been the victim of many scams, multiple scams in many different industries. And it's, everyone I know who is successful in any way in business, they've at some point been ripped off, is what I've noticed, is that they've taken more chances, they've trusted people, and they've, unfortunately there's the good with the bad always. So to be more discerning sometimes can be challenging, because these con artists sometimes can be very convincing.
Yes.
And so what I've found is the more that I've tapped into my intuition and the more that I listen to my gut, if something feels a little bit off, then I don't go ahead with it nowadays. And to do your due diligence properly, make sure you fully investigate the company. Like I put $40,000 into a share company once. It ended up being the biggest scam, and they promised massive returns within a few months, and I didn't do my due diligence properly. And this is with people I trusted. I just trusted the people, and I thought, oh, okay, well, if they've done the due diligence, if they've done the work, then I trust them, and I basically outsource the trust in that case. And then there was, the Hilton. I bought a Hilton timeshare for 20 grand in the US a few years ago. That was in Hawaii. And they said, oh, this is going to go up in value and it's going to be amazing. And that ended up also being a complete schmozzle. Ended up costing me so much just to keep the thing going. It would have been cheaper just to buy my own accommodation separately rather than go through the Hilton timeshare, because I couldn't get availability when I needed. I had to pay hundreds of dollars for RCI to go over there. So anyone who's bought any timeshare as well, often they can be a massive waste of money. I ended up just giving away the 20 grand because it was $1,000 a year just to keep the thing going, US dollars. And you get maybe 1 or 2 weeks accommodation. Well, you better just spend that money on just buy the accommodation directly. So that was also very misleading marketing, where they said this is like an investment in your future, and I have no qualms in mentioning the Hilton timeshare, because it was, for me, it was an absolute, for me, a hoax. I don't know anyone who's actually doing really well with that personally. And I do say, if you go to those timeshare presentations, be very, very careful with that, because they're very, very deceptive with their sales techniques. And these are all learning experiences, right? We can't go back and get the money back, but we can learn and hopefully be a bit more discerning next time. Ken, what are your thoughts on this? Have you been ripped off yourself? How do you be discerning with what you do financially?
Yeah, you know what? I've had those times where kind of been ripped off. I've had a couple friends that said that they would have good investments, and because they were a friend and a trusted person, it's just like, I think we put like $10,000-$20,000 into something at one time, and it never panned out, and we ended up losing that money. Even still, with the promise that we would eventually get it back. Nope, not so much. There's a couple other instances like that, that we've invested money with friends and it just didn't turn out well. And so even with that, it's just like, you've got to be really careful, even with your trusted so-called friends. Their hearts might be well-intentioned, but that does not mean that everything is going to go the perfect way.
Yes. So there's an element of risk always, right? And, some things might turn out, some things might not turn out, and now a lot of people are getting into cryptocurrencies and all sorts of things. Now, we're not giving financial advice for those who are joining us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, etc. We're not giving professional financial advice here. We're just talking about our own experiences. Okay, we're not qualified financial professionals. Well, I'm not anyway. So do your own due diligence always, I recommend. And it's interesting. Life has so many ups and downs, and when we talk about getting what you want, a lot of people I have found have been really stuck financially. This is why there's only 1% of people that are, the world's wealthiest people are generally the top 1%. And a lot of people are sort of in this struggle mode, in survival mode, and they want all these things, but yet they seem to keep coming across roadblocks. It's like that they've got their foot on the accelerator in the car, and they've also got the foot on the brake at the same time. And that could be, subconscious beliefs could be stopping people. It could be all sorts of things. So Jay, what's in your experience, what's the best way to overcome those blockages that might happen for people?
Well, I'll tell you, first of all, as far as getting what you want, here's the biggest problem that most people have. In reality, when people really sit down to think about it, they don't really know what that is. That's part of the problem. You're already mentioning, oh, I want to be able to get this, or I want to be able to purchase this, or I want to go. And then they go and they do those things, and they don't find what they're looking for. If you sit down and you try to pin somebody down, they're trying to go after a target that they don't even know what that target is. If you ask the average person, what is it that you want? I mean, I remember being a kid and getting $100 gift thing for a Christmas club from my grandmother to go to Toys R Us at the time was the store for me. And that was at Christmas. She said, go pick what you want. So I go into this huge store thinking all excited, I can get whatever I want. And all of a sudden it took me 2 hours because I couldn't figure out what I wanted once I was in there. And that's really how a lot of people are. They're thinking if I just had more money, if I just had more opportunity, if I just got this break, then I'd be able to get what I want. And you ask them what it is and they don't even know. So a lot of people will tell you, well, let's simplify it. I want to find happiness. I want to be happy. Okay, well, what is that? I had this just a few years ago where a young man who was working with me in our office, he came in and he started this conversation. My son was in there too. And it was kind of like an ambush. I didn't realize it at the moment. And he said to me, this young man, he said to me, he goes, we really like you. We like working with you. But it seems that you're always stressed. You always seem like something's bothering you. You never just seem right. He goes, we want you to be happy. He goes, we want things to be good. So let me ask you, what are the circumstances in life? What is a day in life like for you when you're actually happy? And I thought at first that should be the simplest question to answer. And I was so frustrated by the fact that I couldn't answer the question. I literally didn't even know. And so I would tell your listeners right now, they say it's a quote that was given by, they think Mark Twain, they're not even sure. 2 most important times of your life is the day you were born, and the other one is the day that you realize why. Okay. Why are we here? Philosophers have been asking this even from the very beginning. Why are we here? Where are we going? What are we supposed to do? Why are we even on this earth? Okay. Before we can go anywhere and getting what we want, we have to have, if we're aiming at nothing, we're going to hit it. Right.
Every time.
Yeah. So that's the first thing. Does a person even know what they want? And I think that comes down to what everybody will quote, whether you're a person of faith or just a person in business or out there, they're going to say, where there's no vision, the people perish. They're going to quote that, right? A person has to have a vision. Okay, well, what is that vision? If we look, I'll bring a little Bible in here for you since I've been a pastor for a long time. Okay, if you look at what that verse actually meant, it's where there's no revelation. In other words, this vision is something that's revealed. Okay, so whatever you believe out there, however you believe you got here and whoever put you here, because I believe that most people would at least say that there's some intelligent design somewhere. There's some reason, there's some cause to us being here. Okay. Why? And what were you created for? Why are you here? What is it that you're supposed to get to? So I think that's one of the first things a person needs to know is, give me some glimpse of where I'm going and what I'm here for.
Yes. I think a vision is very, very, very important. And, often, people say, well, do what you love, right? In fact, Bob Proctor, who lived to 87, I believe, at 84 years of age, he did a video and people said, well, how do you find your purpose? And he said, do what you love as much as possible every single day, do what you love. So I think there's clues in the things that we already love doing and how can we monetize those things that we currently love doing to actually make it a career. So we make it like our work and play comes together, right? And that's where we have real flow, I believe, when we get in spaces where, time and space disappears when we totally love what we do. And that's when we can get out of that trap, that 9-to-5 trap, the Monday to Friday trap that a lot of people feel when they just do something for the money. They're just doing their 9-to-5 job. They can't wait for Friday. They dread coming into work on Monday, whereas the entrepreneurial mindset is more about the let's do what we love. And the more we focus on doing what we love, I've always said, love what you do, the money will come. Love what you do, the money will come. And I think there's some great clues there for people. What else would you say to people to help them find their vision or find their purpose?
Well, I would say don't look for a job. look for a calling.
Mm.
You know, what is it going right along with what you're trying. I mean, a job is a grind. People don't like a job. A job is something it's just over broke, right? It's what you do because, like you said, if you weren't getting paid for it, you wouldn't do it. All right.
Mm.
And so here's the thing. What is it that you're going to find in life that you would do it anyways? And then it's a nice benefit that you're going to get paid for it, and you're going to get compensated for it. That's where you're going to find some happiness. That's where you're going to find some fulfillment. And so, you know, getting in that space, because otherwise you're just doing and you're basically existing. Your life is just every single day you're up and it's just a nightmare of doing something that you don't want to do, but you feel stuck because you have to get the income in order to survive. All right. That's not a thriving mode. That's a survival mode. And so that's really that first, what you're just touching on there is that first shift. What is it, you know, that you're called to do? What is it that you would love to do? There's got to be a way to find a way to do that. And even if you can't do it at the moment, what are some steps that are going to get you from point A to point B?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So I mean, when I look at the question, why am I here? The first thing that comes to my mind, and that's because I'm a Christian. You know, unapologetically, I'm a Christian. My brand, my company is unapologetically faith-based and everything. So why am I here? Well, I mean, I don't want to sound rehearsed with this, but this is the truth. So it might sound a little rehearsed to some people, but I'm here for God. I'm here to give glory to Him. I'm here for His purposes. I'm here for His will. I'm here to do what He has called me to do. And, you know, what I do as a brand and as a company and as a person on what He's called me to do is definitely, yes, something that I'm extremely passionate about. I been very passionate with each one of my clients about exposing the lies of this industry, exposing the deceptions of, you know, the marketing deceptions that is being launched against people on food, making them think that certain foods and certain packaged things and nutrition bars and whatever are actually healthy when they're really not. There's a whole bunch of different examples I can go into with that. But that's one of my biggest passions, is exposing this industry for what it is, the industry of man-made food, and then empowering people with the truth and the reality of what the reality of that is, and helping people basically finally find a solid ground that they can stand on and make real, legit, empowered food choices in a system that's designed by God, in a system that is His food and the things that He has designed for us to eat, not the things that the world has designed, because that is literally a system that's designed to keep us stuck. It's designed to keep us sick, because that's how that system makes money. The system's not going to profit off of a healthy person. So, of course not. You're not going to have, you know, that system make a real health food. They're going to advertise that something is healthy. They're going to show you on the front of the box everything you want to see. They're going to tell you everything you want to hear. Hey, this is only 140 calories. Hey, this has no artificial colors or flavors. You know, hey, this is blah, 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 whatever it is, 12 grams of fiber, you name it. And 95% of it is all marketing deception. And a lot of people don't realize it. A lot of people don't even realize that some of the simple things, it's just nothing but a hypnotic mess that they've just been involved. And my passion is bringing the truth to people. So not only do I stand on the truth of God's word, but I stand on bringing an overall truth to people to be able to empower them. That alone, my Lord, I get so much passion and just joy out of watching each and every one of my clients come through my mini educational boot camp that I have. Each and every one of them that have come through there, I get so much joy watching them make the connections, finally putting it all together, and finally seeing enough is enough. You need to turn the thing over, and you need to start buying things with minimal ingredients and things with one ingredient. When I finally see people really make that connection, not a kind of connection that just says, "Well, okay, I need to change my eating routine for a while." No. The connection that I see them make is, "Oh my gosh, this is what I need to do from now on." That's the real connection. And that's what I get the privilege of doing. And I very proudly say that my brand, my company, and what I teach and the material that I give out is unapologetically faith based. And it's just like, if I get somebody that's got a problem with that, you're not my ideal client. Move on. I don't care. But I was put down here on earth to serve my Almighty God, my creator, my king, my savior. And I owe him everything because of what he did for me on the cross. And so that's why I'm here. So there you go.
And that's beautiful, Ken. And you can hear the passion, right, when Ken speaks about this, and same with me. Like, I'm all about inspiring truth and good news, right? I'm about lifting the energy on the planet, helping to decrease depression and suicide rates. And so I really resonated, Jay, when you spoke about the 16-year-old who wrote that message and then shot himself. I mean, that is absolutely horrendous. However, the fact of the matter is that we have worldwide, on average, about 1 million people worldwide take their own lives. And that's 4 times that now through COVID, through the pandemic, right? We've seen 4 times that. Now, our own story, our own journey shows us that there's clues in our journey of why we're passionate about what we're passionate about. So, for example, Ken, he's lost a heap of weight, right? He's really passionate about health because he was on the trajectory of going down, to die very quickly as a very overweight person. How much weight did you lose again, Ken, for those who don't know?
62.5 pounds, and I've kept it off for 6+ years now without a diet, having that be sustainable.
Amazing, right? Extraordinary. That's extraordinary. And personally in my life, I've had depression. I've had 4 friends take their own lives by the age of 45. And I've worked in the media, and I grew up with a lot of negative media. And so I've seen the impact of the brainwashing and the propaganda that can happen through mainstream media. And so what do? So I've created a global good news challenge. Every month we share gratitude and good news on social media. We have a good news day that happens every year. These are all ways, and through all the media that I put out, we can always turn every negative can be turned into a positive. And it's like the yin yang of life, right? We're always going to have dark forces. We're going to have light forces. But what do you stand for? Where is your place in this whole cosmos, right? Where do you stand? What do you stand for? One of my favorite quotes is, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. So just notice, what are some clues in your life? And I do invite those who have joined us now on Instagram. I can see Jill Smith there. Just do it. Okay. Hello. Good to see you, Shyla Babe. Shyla Babe says, I get my joy from Jesus. Thank you for that, Shyla Babe. Whatever we do for the Lord, she says. Serving and loving others is her purpose. Brenda Pierce, good to see you on Instagram. And those on Facebook, Lucy-Ann, I can see you there on Facebook. Good to see you. Lucy-Ann sending us some love. And we've got others there as well. So let us know, what is your why? Why do you do what you do? What is your purpose? Let us know in the comments. Love to hear from you. So, Jay, was there a moment in time where you said you hit rock bottom? And was there something that was a turning point for you there at rock bottom? Or what was that journey like to go from rock bottom to where you are today?
Well, there really was. It was a very dramatic moment, actually. We were about to lose our home. Actually, we were going to be moving out the next day. It was a humiliating time. We lived right in the beginning of a street that was a dead-end cul-de-sac. And so everybody that lived on the street, that we had been there for about 15 years, would have to go past our home to get to their house. We have this 25-foot U-Haul truck sprawled across the front lawn, taking everything out. Just basically the night before that, I really, I had this huge vision in my life. I was a big visionary. I was always a big dreamer. And back in the early 90s, I just felt that, God was really saying to me, hey, you're going to reach a lot of people. You're going to help a lot of people. I want to use you basically to just have a huge impact. And then, here I found myself, it seemed that life had just bent me over and just kicked me in the butt, and just over and over again. And I felt, as I was losing everything, that I basically had failed at everything and everyone. And I was in my bed, probably like 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep. And I was basically just crying out saying, God, I don't understand. I thought all I was ever trying to do was help people. I was just trying to do the right thing. I don't get why everything has fallen apart. And all this stuff that I thought you told me on this vision for my life and what I was going to do, was it just my imagination or what? And I don't want to get crazy on you here. There was no bright light in the corner or anything like that. I didn't hear an audible voice, but it seemed like I just kind of heard the words from his spirit to mine, which basically said, I need you to remember something, because if you don't, you're going to get to a point where you're going to be ready to give up. Just when it looks like it's never going to happen is right when it's going to happen. And
Yes.
and it was just kind of like, for the next several years, especially transition and a lot of different things, I just held on to that. I had to hold on to that, and believe that that was the case. And I just kept pressing forward, learning the things I needed to do, trying to, do the right things. And then suddenly those breakthroughs started to come. They really did. And so that was really a change point for me. And I think that there's that point in our life sometimes, in order to really empathize and to be able to help people the way that we need to be broken at a certain point. There needs to be that where we understand where people are coming from. A lot of what's going on, I love your theme here about the truth and breaking through what the mainstream and the deception and everything. A lot of people that are lecturing people today, they're in a totally different world, and they don't understand where most people are. And so I think if we've gone through stuff, if your listeners have gone through stuff, that puts you in a position to really help people, because now you've walked in their shoes, and you understand where things are coming from, and that's very valuable. So don't minimize the value of that. Learn from it, never forget where you come from, the lessons that you learn, and then go out there and do for others what you wish somebody would be doing for you right now, if you need it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. And Shyla Babe says perseverance and compassion. Yes, perseverance and compassion, I think, very important. And compassion for self too, because, at the end of every breakdown, there is a breakthrough. We've just got to hang on for the ride on this roller coaster ride of life, right?
Yeah.
It is a roller coaster, and we're going to have our highs, we're going to have our lows, and sometimes we just need to slow down to speed up. Right. Sometimes we just need to step back for a moment and look at the overall scheme of things. And, I think when you look at the stats, around a third of people die by the age of 65 globally, and 90% of people die with regrets.
Mm-hmm.
That is huge, right? That is absolutely huge. Now, I was just with my parents just a few days ago, and, beautiful people. And, my mum's got dementia now at 80, and it's very, very difficult to watch people you love age and start to lose their faculties, right?
Mm-hmm.
My dad's 86. He's had 4 heart attacks, prostate cancer, diabetes, and he's still chugging along. He looks after mum full time. And it's, it's emotional sometimes when you connect with family members that you remember them from when you were young, and then you see them start to disintegrate. In effect, that's what happens, right? We go sort of full circle. For those that do age, for those that do get to, end of life, whatever that is, around the 100, or average age, I think is 85 years of age that most people die, between 80 and 85, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a real reality check. We think we're going to live forever. We think we can just do something tomorrow. We'll just wait till tomorrow, wait till next month, wait till something is in place before we do something. I deal with people with marketing. They say, oh yeah, I'd love to get out there and be seen, heard, and known more, but first I've got to get my website done. I've got to get my funnels done. I've got to get this done. And then next thing, another 10 years goes by, and they still haven't done those things. And then they're no further along to where they were 10 years ago. So really, I think compassion compassion, as Shyla Babe says, compassion for self, being, persevering on this roller coaster ride of life, embracing all the ups and downs, because I do believe that everything happens for us, not to us. We attract these lessons, whether we get ripped off, right? Okay, I've been looking at, okay, my bank account, 2 bank accounts got hacked in the last few days. Okay, what's that telling me? What's the learning in this? What's the learning in this? Rather than being, I guess, a victim of what's happening, actually look at, okay, what is the learning? Maybe I could pay closer attention to my bank accounts. Maybe I could set up 2-factor authentication. Maybe I could set up a little bit more security. Maybe I could, because a lot of people, I'm sure, get hacked all the time and they don't even notice because they don't check their bank accounts, right? Because often these people just take out small amounts and then they'll go for a bigger amount. And so one big learning can be look at your bank accounts closely, monitor things, because, if it's out of a credit card, you can go back through the bank and you can maybe recover some of that money. Although one of these accounts that got hacked was actually a debit account. So it's like, how the hell did they get into a debit account? And I wonder whether some of these scammers now are using ChatGPT and using, and they've got these bots that are just scrolling all the numbers. I'm sure there's all that kind of thing going on. So I think we need to be more careful with these things. We need to pay closer attention, because what you focus on will grow. And if we're not paying attention on our finances, then potentially your finances will just disappear because we're not giving it any value. So when we talk about how to have what you want, I think our values and coming back with being gentle with ourselves on this journey and getting the learnings from when we get hit with a feather, a brick, or a Mack truck, they say, right?
Right.
We will achieve the same kinds of relationships, the same kind of things in our life until we get whatever the learning is. So what are your thoughts on that, Jay?
Well, you mentioned some great things there, including the part about people getting later in life and then having regrets and living to be 75, 85 years of age. Here's the sad part. A lot of people may live physically to be that age, but they died in their 20s. And that's what's really scary, because when we're younger, we dream, we have goals, we have plans, we have all of that. And then, hey, all of a sudden that all goes by the wayside and we just exist. And so then you get at the end, it's like, I was going to do this, I was going to do that. And we look in between the dash on the tombstone, and what happened during that time? That thing that a lot of us were told when we went to open house when we were a kid, to back to school night, oh, they've got so much potential, but is that potential realized? So I think the first thing to get what you want, whether it's financially or anything, is, and I like to use this little acrostic, MAP, which is basically you need the right map. All right. So for example, how am I going to get from point A to point B? I need the right map to get there. So for example, if I were to go out and I said to you, hey, my goal is that every night I want to be able to see a beautiful sunset. Very simple goal, right? And so I asked Ken about it, and Ken tells me, oh, that's really simple. Every night, go out and look to the east. All right, well, that's the wrong map. The sun sets in the west. Okay, so you can look to the east until you're blue in the face and you're never going to see it. So we need to have the right map, and then it basically goes in 3 areas. And the first one I want to start with there is M would stand for you need to get the right mentors. You need to get the right people in your life that you're going to be able to learn from, that already know how to do it, that already are further than where you are and are willing to teach you. Okay. So that whatever area of life it is that you're looking for, of where you're trying to go, once you know where that is, now we got to start finding those people that are going to be able to get us there. And there's a lot of ways to do that. You can get it directly. There's a lot of sources. There's video, there's YouTube, there's courses out there, there's books, there's so many ways to get this mentorship today, to not reinvent the wheel, but get someone that already is willing to take you there.
Yes, I think that's gold. And, I've invested at least $1 million, I'd say now, on my business and personal development. And I've worked with some amazing mentors in that time, and some not so great. However, I guess everyone's on their own journey when it comes to that. And I think, we do the best we can with what we have available. And I think treating others as we want to be treated is very important. And, being in integrity as much as possible, honoring yourself and honoring your word, and then being committed to what you want and not attached. That's one of the golden things I heard from a landmark course I did a while ago. Be committed, not attached to what you want as well, because sometimes we make plans and God laughs, right? As they
True.
say, and we're so stuck on really wanting something a certain way, and then it doesn't happen, and then we can get very disappointed rather than going with the flow of, okay, maybe we weren't meant to be doing that thing. So, for example, I really wanted to have a child or children, and now I'm 50, and now I've let that go, and I had this thought for a long time that if I get to 50, I haven't had kids, I'll regret it. Well, I had a go. It didn't happen. Maybe it wasn't my journey. I do nurture a lot of people in life, and I nurture animals. I'm a big animal welfare advocate as well. So I get my nurturing out in other ways. So there I was. I wanted to have children. However, there was a part of me also that wasn't excited about bringing up children with the commitment involved with bringing up children. There was like my body wanted to have kids, but mentally it was like, oh gosh, it's going to be a lot of work. So I had this bit of conflict. I had my foot on the accelerator and had the brake on at the same time, right? And I did some hypnosis and I did work around that, etc. But now at 50, now I've let it go. Now I think to myself, well, I don't want to be 70 with a 20-year-old, right? So now I've let go and let God and thought, okay, maybe that just wasn't my journey, and learning to accept that without beating myself up about it or without living with regrets, because that's not, not a very productive way to be when you live with regrets, or when you have any shame or you have any guilt around anything in life. And this is coming back to what Shyla Babe said there about compassion, right? Being compassionate and allowing the flow to also happen when we talk about the truth about how to get what you want. So there needs to be alignment, right, with what you want and with what's actually meant to be for you, and an element there of actually letting go potentially of part of that, that rigid sort of, I really want this to look a certain way, with I really want a certain number of clients, or I really want a certain number of followers, or I really want, whatever it is, knowing that we are impacting people every day with what we're doing and not being too attached to that looking exactly as you want it to look.
Right. No, I totally agree with you. In fact, I can even think of recent times where I'm thinking, okay, here's an opportunity. I want to take this opportunity. All the intentions are good. It seems perfect for me. I have all the qualifications. And then, like, amazingly, the door just gets closed right in my face. And then I'm sitting there like, I don't understand. And then all of a sudden, a month down the line, 2 months, sometimes a little bit longer, it's like, oh, now I'm going, this is even much better. I wouldn't have been able to do it if I ended up over here. So I do believe there's that, in my case with faith, it would be, God shutting doors, opening doors. And often I'm thinking, well, I thought this was great and it may have been great, but he says, I'm gonna give you even better. And that's why I stopped it.
Yes. Trusting that there's something better maybe around the corner. And often, as you said, when we're in the biggest breakdowns, you're right on the precipice of something amazing about to happen. So hang in there. And, sometimes it is important, I think, just to step back and just to reevaluate what you're doing in your life. I had a near-death experience last year where I got swept out to sea, about 1 kilometre out to sea in Coffs Harbour, and I could have easily have been, drowned or been taken by a shark. Anything could have happened in that 1 hour when I was treading water in deep sea. However, I survived it. I got through that challenge. And after that, it was like pressing the reset button on my life, because from there, I really reevaluated everything. Am I doing everything I truly love doing in my life? Or am I doing things that are maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10? Where can I get to more of a 9 or 10 out of 10 with where I'm most in flow with what I'm doing, and outsource the things ideally that I don't like to do or that I'm not so much in flow with, and have other people come in and, build that dream team as well with letting go of things that I don't fully love doing and focusing what I do love doing. And then the more I find when I elevate my energy in that way, when I have more joy and love and gratitude and peace around what I'm doing, that's when more of the opportunities start to come my way, of unexpected things that great opportunities, whether it's being interviewed on shows or, recently I won a Global Woman of Influence Award, right? There's amazing opportunities have been coming. And I'm so grateful for that. However, it's been years and years and years of persistence, of perseverance, of dedication, of being committed. They say it takes a lifetime to be an overnight success.
Yeah, it does.
To be an overnight success. So patience is so important, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, going along with that, I was saying about the mentor, and then I would say the next thing would be accountability, and that's the A. Now, accountability has a lot of people think, okay, that's just someone that I'm accountable to. But there's another factor in accountability as well, and that is that, um, you know, why is it? What are the things that are important, and who is depending on it? Okay. So, for example, maybe you're trying to bless your family in some way. You're trying to leave a legacy in some way. Maybe there's people in your life that are dependent. There's people that you know you're going to impact. A lot of people will not make a dramatic change just for themselves. It's not enough. There has to be something bigger. There has to be some cause. There has to be something that they're called to, that people are depending on it. And when that comes in, and when you can attach that to it, that accountability is what tends to drive people more. Because let's face it, we've had, however old we are in life, we've had that amount of time and that amount of experience becoming the person that we are right now. What's going to make us think that we're going to dramatically change unless there's some compelling reason to change where there's people that are depending on it? And so building in that accountability, what's going to happen with so and so or this person, or what's going to happen to this if I don't do this? Is it okay if this doesn't happen? It has to become big enough where it's not acceptable to us that it doesn't happen. And that becomes part of our accountability. The traditional accountability of just talking to someone and telling them how you did, the problem with that is in a lot of cases, we can lie about it. All right. So, the one perfect example of accountability that worked is Weight Watchers. That's a very simple one. Right. And I'm thinking, why in the world would Weight Watchers work? My wife was on Weight Watchers. She's probably not going to be happy that I just said that, but she was on Weight Watchers at a certain point. And I know a lot of people that go, oh, Weight Watchers just works for me. And I said, why? And what it boils down to is that once a week, they would have to go in to the meeting, which half the time they wouldn't even stay for the meeting. They wouldn't even listen. But they'd have to get on the scale. And I said, well, I told her, I said, well, you just get on the scale anyways. You have a scale at home. And she goes, it's not the same. I have to get on the scale in front of the person that was there. It was that accountability. And that was an accountability you couldn't lie about, but the scale wouldn't lie. So you need honest accountability that you can't fudge on, and you need some compelling reason that keeps you accountable to what it is to do to move forward. Otherwise, you're going to stay exactly where you are.
Mm.
Yes, I'd agree with that. I love that. So mentor and accountability is the M and the A of the map.
Right. Absolutely.
What's
Well, the P
P?
is I would do a double P on that one, and it's prayerful purpose. Prayerful purpose. The why is this important? Ken touched on it earlier. He wants to serve God. He wants to, do all that. That's where I'm at. I mean, my prayerful purpose would be in whatever I'm doing is to basically love God and to serve others and to show that love to others. That's what I want to do. So whether I'm on this show right now, whether I'm sitting down with a client, whether I'm counseling somebody, whether I'm a high school girls basketball coach too, I've done that for about 20 years, whatever I'm doing, any type of interaction that I'm having, basically I'm going to filter it through this. How can I bless and encourage somebody and help somebody forward with something? If a listener is listening right now, how can I be a positive benefit to them in something that I'm sharing currently? I figure that's why I'm here. That's my purpose. That's what I'm supposed to do. And I have various ways, fortunately, at this point that I can do it. I can do it in ministry. I can do it in finance. I can do it in coaching. I can do it in, personal career development, entrepreneurship, whatever it is, through the years of all these different experiences that I never would have planned, but it all ended up that way. There's a way that I can basically bless people in multiple ways. So that's the central prayerful purpose that I'm looking for. If I get up in the morning, who am I? What are these divine appointments that I'm supposed to have? How am I supposed to make somebody else's life around me better? Because I'm pretty confident where I'm going when this is all over, so I don't really need to be here. That's really the reason that I'm here, is just to have that impact on others.
I love that. It's beautiful. We've got Shyla Babe here on Instagram says, right, it's God's plan, not ours. I trust him. He truly blesses us through it all. And,
Yes.
I think whatever your religion is, I do believe in one God, universal energy, etc. Whatever your religion is, I believe we're all tapping into the same source energy personally. I think we have different stories around what's happened or who the gurus are or whatever, right? And so whatever your religion or belief is, as long as I believe, as long as there's peace, there's a peaceful intention, I think underneath whatever your beliefs are, I think that's fantastic. When we look at war and what's going on in the world right now, there's no winners in war. And some of these sort of evil elite that have, probably in the top 1% of income, there's not a wealth problem. There's a wealth distribution issue, right, across the world. And when you look at some of these people that are very, very wealthy and are very, very evil, it sort of makes you question. I know this has been one of my limiting beliefs, is that if you become very wealthy, you're going to be evil like them, right? However, that's not always the case, because there's also a lot of wealthy people who are very giving and do a lot of good for humanity and for animals, etc., as well. So I think, if you have more money, you're going to be, and you're a good person, you're going to be be able to do more with that good. And if you're a bad person, essentially, or you have bad intentions, then the money will just escalate those bad intentions as well. So, I think this is about accepting also wherever other people are at. Like, Christianity over time, or some of the sort of born again Christians over time, have had a bad reputation as far as sort of, Bible bashing or whatever, as they've said, right? However, you get that in all religion. All religions I've found, they think that they are the best religion, and that, if people come over to their religion, then they're going to get saved and they're going to not go to hell and all that sort of thing, right? In their own versions, right? So we don't want to get too far into this, but I just want to say this is not a purely Christian show, although we are all Christians here. But whatever your belief is, I respect your opinion and your belief, and whatever it is that you believe in. I think faith, coming back to faith in general across the board, faith is really, really, really crucial. Whatever you believe in, having faith in the overall design of things, and that everything is in divine order, right? However that looks for you. But to me, that has been absolutely crucial, because it's our humanness, it's our 60,000 thoughts we have a day. And for most people, 98% are exactly the same thoughts we had yesterday, and 80% are negative thoughts for most people. So it's where all this monkey chatter happens in the brain. When we come into faith, we can silence that monkey chatter, because now we're going beyond ourselves. We're actually spiritual beings having a human experience, right? And so tapping into that, I think, is really, really crucial. And it's been a godsend for me, literally having faith in God, and in a greater organized design. Could be another way you could say that God equals, for some people, right, a greater organized design. Having that faith has been crucial. And in fact, it's one of the 13 principles of Think and Grow Rich as well, is actually faith. So it's absolutely essential, I believe, to know you're on purpose, and to seek guidance when you're feeling like you've maybe fallen off the roller coaster ride occasionally.
Sure. Absolutely.
So that's just opened a can of worms there. So what are your thoughts there on what we just discussed?
Well, I definitely agree that we want to respect everybody's belief, to have whatever belief they have, and some people can get really shove it down your throat type of thing. I don't think that necessarily ever helps, and kind of is a turn off. So I basically like to just throw out there, hey, what is the sense that you're getting? I mean, we did mention that there seems to be that innateness in us, that there's something bigger out there than ourselves. And I tell people they don't have to believe what I believe, but you don't necessarily have to believe in God, but I do believe he believes in you, and he has, given you the abilities and put things into you. A lot of people will throw things out to the universe. I get that, although I believe the universe is so complex that it screams that it's designed by someone. And I think that's pretty obvious to most. So I would say that the journey for most should start there. and then try to seek out the truth at that particular point. And I believe that when we seek the truth, we will find it. I believe biblically it even says that. So for someone who's sincerely seeking that, I do believe that they will start being led into that direction.
Yeah, I love that. I love the whole map concept too. That was brilliant.
Mm.
Ken, what are your thoughts? Something you'd like to add to this?
Well, for me, it's just so yeah. There's a lot of religions out there, but I think for Christians and for Christianity, what sets Christianity apart from every religion that's out there is Christianity actually is not a religion. Christianity is a relationship with Christ. And that's a big difference. And then the other thing I see with a lot of other religions that are out there is there's often this mindset of, well, if you're a good enough person, you'll get into heaven. Or if you're a good enough person, you'll make it to this destination and all of that. And I think the thing that makes Christianity so unique and so different and a relationship with Christ is this. It is the one belief system. I don't yeah, and again, I don't want to call it a religion because I really don't believe Christianity is a religion. But it is the one belief system that has a savior that came down, died for every one of your sins, past, present, and future, and then rose again on the third day, making him the eternal sacrifice for your sin, and is now seated at the right hand of the Father. And it is also the one belief system that actually has archaeological proof of a lot of these things. And I just find it really interesting. Years and years ago, I heard a sermon by Frank Peretti, and it was a sermon. I think it was something like "God's Way or Man's Way" was the title of the sermon, and he did a very, very good job on breaking down a lot of the um, worldly beliefs, a lot of the religions that are out there, breaking them down to literally, two sets of thinking. One set, you know, well, for example, I mean, and again, and I'm not bashing anybody. I'm just pointing something out. Um, Mormons believe that they can eventually become gods themselves, little gods everywhere. And if you get behind the curtain of that and you really look at what that's saying, it's interesting because that's essentially saying that through your works, you can get to X, Y, and Z. Um, there's a lot of other ones that I can go into, but again, my goal is not to bash other religions. That's not my goal, very respectfully. Um, Christianity is the one that said, it's the one belief system where I see God loved us enough that he, even after the fall in the Garden of Eden, he still wanted to be connected with us. And he loved us enough to then be willing to relinquish his powers, come down, and become human himself and experience everything the human walk has to offer, including temptations, desires, struggles, all of that. And he was willing to do that in a way to live a perfect life that we cannot in any way, shape, or form live. And he lived that life for us. And then in turn took on all the sin for us, for each individual person. Took that sin on, a task that we could not do. and died under that condemnation, under that conviction, under that weight, died. Even on the cross, he utters the words, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Because there was a time the Father had to turn his eyes and presence away from the Savior dying on the cross, because that was the time where the weight of the sin was on him and he had to experience the wrath of God. Something that no one that confesses Christ as their Savior, no one in that aspect will ever feel or understand what that's like because of what he did on the cross. I don't see any other belief system out there that has something as unique as that. And it's not a religion. Christianity is not a religion because we do not preach, do X, Y, and Z, and you'll get into heaven. That's a list of things to do. That's a list for self-improvement. That's not what the gospel teaches.
No, and this is the thing, like, with born again, born again groups, certain Pentecostal groups. When I was growing up in Sydney, that's what I got as a 15-year-old. It was like, if you don't get born, if you don't, get baptized, and if you don't, repent your sins, etc., you are going to go to hell. So I think there's certain sort of groups that come off, like Christianity essentially, as you say, is a relationship with Christ, right? But there's certain groups that can stem off that, or religious groups that can unfortunately give the belief a negative connotation or negative name, right? Unfortunately, and this is different interpretations of the Bible, different interpretations of different religions, etc. And at the end of the day, you've got to do what you feel is right for you, and tap into that wisdom that is all around us and that is within us. And I always love the story of Christ when he's on the cross, or being persecuted as he's going up to be crucified, and he says, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." Forgive them, they know not what they do. To have that kind of compassion and heart when you're being absolutely crucified, like to have that peace and power about you, no matter what is happening on the outside, that is something that I really admire, right? That is something that I would say would be something to even strive to be like in life, that no matter what crap comes your way, that you're able to deal with it peacefully and powerfully. And so coming back, Jay, to your MAP system. So when you were at rock bottom, did you seek out a mentor and have accountability and have that prayerful what was it? Your number?
Purpose.
Purpose.
Yeah.
Purpose. Did all that come to you through that process, or how did you sort of work your way through that?
Come through the process of what's happening, and fortunately, there were good mentors that came along, and the opportunities that God led me into, and basically a lot of personal growth and learning that took place in that, spiritual growth that took place in that as well, and the accountability, everything that came in. And then the purpose, because again, why am I doing it? It's not just for money. It's not just for those type of things, and kind of getting into, just everything that you guys were just saying. I hear so much of what Ken's saying and agree with Ken so very much. I have these kind of conversations all the time with people, and what you're saying as well, Aldwyn, where it becomes so, I've had people that are saying to myself, I can't, no matter what I do in life, it's just never enough. No matter, I'm not worthy. I'm not going to be right with God. It's just no matter what I do, I'm just always going to mess things up. I've even asked people the question, which you've brought up, are you going to go to heaven or not? And the person will tell me, well, I would certainly like to, but I don't think so. And then I'll be, well, why not? And they'll give me an answer. Well, I just know who I am. I know the mistakes that I've made. I know the regrets that I have, the different things. And I just don't feel like I'm good enough to get there. And tying in with what Ken was saying, that's when I have to look at them and I have to say, Well, if you're looking to be good enough to get there, that's never going to happen. Because, I mean, honestly, neither am I. I mean, nobody's perfect on this earth. You know, what you were saying, Aldwyn, about Jesus being on the cross and he's looking down and saying, forgive them for they know not what they do. I mean, we've all, the word of God will tell us that all of us have fallen short. You know, all of us have sinned, is the term that Ken was using. I mean, we've all done that. And so I think that the relationship that Ken's bringing up is very freeing, in the sense that it's not like religion, as you were bringing it up, Aldwyn, how, oh, you got to do this and you got to do this and you got to do this. No matter what you do, it's never going to be a high enough. You're never going to be able to jump that high. You know, I do believe the Bible tells us that if we were to be completely perfect and fulfill every single law and yet offended in one point, it says in the book of James, we'd be guilty of being a lawbreaker. So, for example, if I'm driving down the street and I make an illegal U-turn and I get pulled over by a police officer and they come to my window and they say to me, do you know why I pulled you over? And I say, well, I didn't run a stop sign. I wasn't speeding. You know, and I give all these rules that I didn't break. The reality is I still broke one. And so I'm still, you know, a breaker of the law. And so a relationship with God and being in the right place doesn't have to do with what I do. It's what has already been done, as he's been saying. Jesus, when he was on the cross and he was willing to do that, was doing everything for us. So it's simply, to me, it's through faith at this point. So just wanted to touch on that because you guys spent a lot of time on that one right there. But I think it's very freeing. And then, so now in getting what you want, what is it that, yes, let's get to that point. Let's get the right map, those mentors, let's get there. Let's get the accountability. And then prayerful purpose, let's step into it, knowing that if we've been put on this earth to do something, then as we're seeking towards that direction, we're going to be most happy and most fulfilled and find the most contentment and find the most purpose when we're actually doing that. So to get really simple, if you go from the fact that we were made and created by someone, by some force out there, let's just use simple things. Ken, I know you like to talk about food, right? So let's talk about silverware. That's what we do. That's what we use to eat it, right? If it's not with our hands. All right. So for example, do you have ice cream? Do you eat ice cream with a knife? I mean, you can, but it can be,
No.
it can be, you know, nowhere near as efficient. The knife was not created to scoop out ice cream. It's created to cut a steak, right? And so it's going to do its best work when it's cutting a steak or where it's doing something like that. And so a lot of people are not happy in life because they're not doing the things that they're best suited for. And so what is that prayerful purpose? I want to know what it is. And I want to step into it because that's where this happiness and fulfillment is going to actually come from, when we're in that sweet spot, I guess a lot of people would call it, you know, using your gifts, using your abilities, using your talents, where you're most fitting. And those are the things you're going to love to do because that's what comes naturally to you.
Yeah, beautiful. Love that. And you have a book out, of course. Could you tell us a bit about your book?
So the book is coming out. I'm releasing it on December the 4th. Okay. And it's called oh my goodness, I'm drawing a blank right now. Yeah, Audacious Faith Playbook. Yes. And so that's really bad when you can't quote your own book, right? And this has been something I've wanted to write for a long time. So some of the greatest messages and lessons that I've believed that I've learned in life of faith, basically I've taken these 15 lessons. These are things that I've taught on so many times and kind of just grown in over the years. And the reason we call it a faith book, Audacious Faith, is based on this. It is the audacity to believe that we were put on this earth not to just exist, but to make a huge difference in the world around us. Okay, that's what I believe. All right. And so this Audacious Faith playbook is like a set of plays, just like if you would be on a football team and we have plays for offense, we have plays for defense, we have special teams, we have all of that kind of stuff. So what do you do when you're facing anxiety? You know, what do you do when you're having so many of these different issues in life. What are you doing with money and financial challenges? You know, all of the different subjects, the major subjects that people are facing in life. You call up a play. You learn these plays. You learn these principles. I give principles in there, and each play kind of stands alone, but at the same time, it also builds on each other. And so I'm so excited about this coming out, and I'm going to, on December 4th, we're going to launch it, and it's going to be a really special promotional price. In fact, they're going to be able to get it as an ebook version, Kindle ebook version, either free if they have Kindle Unlimited, or they'll be able to purchase it for just 99 cents, because I just want to get it in everybody's hands. And then even the hard copy, the paperback, everything, we're going to make it as low as Amazon will let me put it out for, just because it's not really about the money at this point. I just want to get it in everybody's hands. And so that's going to be coming out on December 4th, and it's going to be a big launch on that.
That is awesome. And at 99 cents, it still might as well be free.
Pretty much.
Honestly, anybody today that does not have 99 cents to pay for a book, you've got problems. That's all I'm going to say. You've got some problems there. I think
you probably really need the book. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yes, you probably need the book. So what are some of the principles that you cover in that book?
Oh, so there's trust, there's anxiety, in fact, let me look at some of these chapters really, really quickly. I'm going to bring them up for you. There's a lot of great stuff here. I can list them all off for you.
And anxiety is a big one too for a lot of people right now. Shyla Babe says, we're all broken with Christ Jesus, our soon coming King. Shyla Babe, thank you for that on Instagram. Lawrence Petruzzelli has joined us. Good to see you there on Instagram. For those who've just joined us, let us know, what is it that you want in life? What is something that you want, maybe that you haven't achieved yet, or you would like to put out there to achieve in the coming year? We're coming up to the end of the year here. So what is it? What's something that you want? Let us know.
So some of these principles, the source of true love is what it starts with. Where do you actually get that? Trust, how to trust completely, because a lot of people have trust issues. The thief versus the good shepherd, the one who's trying to steal everything from your joy to your opportunities, everything versus, all that. Not just being a person of words, but taking action. I've got God's strength training program in here. I've got, like I said, fulfilling God's vision for your life. Daily focus, mastering money before it masters you, leaving a legacy, finishing well with no regrets. All of these are in the book.
Those are some good titles. Wow.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Well, we do need to start wrapping up the show shortly, but before we do, any final words about the truth about how to get what you want, our topic today? Any other words of wisdom you give people, maybe to dive deeper into one of those topics you just mentioned there, Jay?
Well, I would say that you got to take some action. All right. A lot of people, they hear things, a podcast like this, you go to a seminar, you go to a workshop, and it's like a warm bath, right? You come out of there feeling good, and then before you know it, the coldness of life just hits you and you're right back where you were. How many of us have gone to things, got excited 5, 10 years, 20 years down the line? We're still in the same spot. Okay. There has to be a major decision where we say that's not going to be the case anymore. Okay. So whatever you're doing, take some of these steps right now. Get a clear vision. Start asking, start really focusing on narrowing down, where do you think you're supposed to go? Use whatever source you're going to do to get that. Pray about it if that's where you are, or hopefully you are. But if not, then talk to some people that know you, that know what you're good at, that know what, your sweet spot is. That sometimes people see us much different. We're a lot harder on ourselves than what other people see. So find out, and then don't just sit where you are. If you feel stuck, start to take some steps to get into that right direction. Read some books, get on some podcasts, watch some videos. They're all available on YouTube. They're out there. Start taking in information and changing your mindset and getting that mentoring. Get some accountability in your life, and then prayerfully purpose to keep moving forward in there. And before you know it, you will not be the same person that you were you'll be to point B at some point down the line, and you'll be looking back, being able to share, and then also help others down the same journey.
Fantastic words of wisdom there. Ken, what are your final tips on how to get what you want?
Final tips on how to get what you want. You know it simply, and there's a little bit of a story that goes behind this. So, in summer of 2020 is when I launched my brand and company, Mastery Weight Loss. And did all the things, built out my brand, built out everything you see today, and yes, of course, I was a Christian back then. But, I just launched my brand and my company and I just did it. And I just, did the motions and did the wheel and all of that stuff. And still in the background was doing my prayer and devotions and everything, but it wasn't until I kind of turned a corner about a year ago and flipped the switch and decided, God, I want you to be a part of my brand. How do I make you more part of my brand? How do I make you more part of what I do and the message that I bring? How do I include you in that? You guys, I kid you not, when you start seeking to invite God into what you're doing and what you're building, some amazing things begin to happen. I still sit here in just awe on the transformation that not only happened in my business by inviting God in and seeking his face intentionally through that, but even my own personal and devotional life and prayer life has skyrocketed since then. He brought me a great, amazing faith-based coach who is not only my mentor and coach, but she's also my friend and sister in Christ. I am at a place with my business right now that I marvel. I marvel. And I feel like a lot of it and a lot of the doors and everything else happened when I invited him and set intentions to make him a part of my brand. So the point that I'm making with that story is whatever it is that you're desiring after, whatever it is you're building or going after or on the path of, invite him into that journey intentionally, daily. Seek him through that. Lord, I want to make you a part of this. How do I make you a part of this? How do I invite you in? Seek it. Intentionally go after it. Run after it. Be diligent with it. This is not, the point I'm making is it's not just a one-time thing. It's really going after it, seeking, asking, and knocking. And I think the context, ask, seek, and knock, that whole verse, I believe the context of that verse is doing it in a continual basis. Asking, seeking, and knocking continually. Don't be afraid to beat down God's door. Go for it and intentionally ask him in. It is amazing some of the things that happen. Am I preaching a message that's basically saying you do that and everything's going to be hunky-dory, happy, Disneyland kind of thing? Hell no. You're going to have challenges. The rain and the storm is going to come down because I'm going to tell you the enemy does not want you doing that. So yes, the rain and the storm is going to come down. But the blessing and what God has to bring to the table is much greater than that storm and the challenges that will come your way. And so that is my invitation to you guys on how to get what you want. Invite God into what you're doing. Invite God into whatever project, if your thing is music, invite God into that. If your thing is being a coach, invite God into that. If your thing is X, Y, or Z, invite God into that. And you'd be amazed on some of the things that will happen. Again, let me be clear. That does not mean that it's going to be a rosy, just fun little path and everything's going to be all just, you're going to have these unicorns and pink bunnies and no. You might have times like that and you will have times like that, but the road's not always going to be like that. You will be led into the valley of death. You will be led into those thorn-filled filled valleys and everything else. But know that he is walking with you through that, and he is your protector. So that's my final words.
Yes, thank you, Ken. Look, we're never alone, and we will be tested, right? We're going to be tested because, you know, as Jay was saying earlier, you know, none of us are perfect, right? We all have at the core some version of I'm not loved, I don't belong, or I'm not good enough running the show as human beings. However, as spiritual beings having a human experience, the more we tap into spirit, to God, to that, to, you know, whatever your belief is, to tap into that energy of source energy. You know, they say we only use 10% of our minds, right? Or our consciousness is, you know, what is possible is infinite. It is infinite what is possible, and anything is possible for you, right? Anything is possible for you. What is it that you truly desire? What is it that your heart truly desires? And, you know, having this belief that you can achieve anything that you want. And this is where, you know, your mindset is really, really crucial, but also having that faith. That faith has been a strong part of this conversation today, and realize that you are going to be challenged, because when you put out to the universe and you put out there, yes, I really want something, you're going to have the challenges to see how serious you are about that thing that you want, right? You're going to be tested, and, you know, the strong ones will come through, and those that aren't able to withstand those pressures are not going to make it through. And this is where, you know, having love, and this is one of my favorite things, coming back to love, having love, moving from fear to love. Right? And that self-compassion, that love for self, that love for others, trusting the journey of life, trusting that everything is in divine order, even sometimes when it doesn't feel like it, even sometimes when it feels like you're banging your head against a brick wall, right? There's, you know, life will throw curveballs. And this is where having that resilience to move forward is really, really, really important. Jay,
one more thing I want to add to that, Aldwyn. So it's also, so the tests are going to be there. Yes. But it's also, remember, it's not just about the tests. The challenges and the friction's going to come, because there are going to be times that you are going to get to, notice the word I use there, get to. You are going to get to grow, get stronger, get wiser, and get better through those trials and challenges. So it's not always about a test. Sometimes those challenges come to help iron sharpen iron, if you will, to help you get stronger and better. That's why one of the things I teach with my clients is it's important to embrace the journey, both the ups and the downs, especially the downs, because the downs are where you're going to grow. The downs are where you're going to find, you know, the wisdom as you kind of configure your way through that. And that's the joy of it. Shortcutting yourself through that, and, you know, kind of trying to dodge every little thing that comes at you, you're robbing yourself of so much. So very much. So much growth, so much strength, so much all of that. So you get to embrace that too. So it's not just about the tests.
Yes, thank you, Ken. That's great. Jay, final words on that?
Yeah, you know, a lot of people will stop because it's painful. A lot of people will not want to push through things that are challenged. People go to the gym, they get a membership at the beginning, they come home sore. 2 days later, they said, that's it, I'm not going back. And the problem is, and they never, you know, it's the breakdown of the muscles, it's the soreness that builds you up stronger. And that's how life is. And so, yes, in order to move from where you are right now, there's going to be challenges. There's going to be resistance. But you have to embrace it. Maybe there's somebody out there that's loves getting tattoos or something like that. It's a whole different subject, right? But, you know, the person, I mean, they're sitting there and they're piercing on your arm or wherever they're doing it and all that. But the person that has the end goal in mind, they just stepping that arm right into it, and they're embracing the process, even though it hurts at the particular moment, because they want the final result. And so having the faith in there is the fact that, hey, the final result is going to be worth it. So it might be a little tough, but I'm going to push through it because I know that the end result is going to be what I want to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful. And we are really so much more powerful than we think we are often, right? Our humanness often keeps us very small, that when we get that we are these spiritual beings having a human experience, and we have animals to remind us how extraordinary
Yeah.
how extraordinary
Yeah,
nature
thank
is,
you.
like
Yeah.
Ken's cat that just went past. Actually, my cat's been sleeping right beside me, curled up so beautifully right here with me. There is so much magic and wonder to the world, and there is so much to be had and to be enjoyed and to be shared in the world. So, really it is about making the most of life, I believe, whatever that looks like for you. And go for it. What have you got to lose, right? Just go for it. Have fun with the journey and enjoy all the ups and downs, and put out what you want, because if you don't put out what you want, you're not clear on what you want. If you don't have that vision, then you're not going to hit it, right? You're not going to get there. So having something to strive for, to work towards, I think is really, really important. Back to where we started this conversation. Now, in wrapping up, Jay, how can people connect with you, and where are they going to be able to get a copy of this book that comes out?
Okay, in many ways, you can connect with me, and I'm really good at connecting, by the way. So if you reach out to me, you can find me on Facebook, for instance, at Jay Gauthier Sr. Also, you can look me up on Instagram as well at either Jay Gauthier Sr. or the Audacious Faith podcast. You can find me there as well. Or I am also Jay Gauthier Sr. at gmail.com, or you can find me as just Jay Gauthier on LinkedIn as well. So many different places, and I will definitely get back to you. I love to connect with everybody.
And I can
Fantastic.
attest to that, Jay. When I reached out to him, I think I found you in a podcast group. When I reached out to you, you were pretty prompt in getting back to me, which 8 times out of 10 does not happen. Sometimes I have to go and follow up and message back and message back. So I can attest to that. Jay he's really good with connecting and responding to messages too in Messenger. He's really good at that.
Awesome. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite quote as well, Jay? A favorite quote or motto?
Well, really, there's so many great quotes out there, but my motto basically is love God and serve others. And I just keep that front and center every single day. And if I'm doing that, I figure I can't go wrong.
Beautiful. Love that. And was there something else you were going to say?
No, that's good. I just really appreciated the time, and I look forward to connecting with anyone in the future. You did ask about the book, though. You'll be able to go and look up my name or look up the Audacious Faith Playbook on Amazon when it hits. And also you can contact me, and I'll be sending out links to that as well.
Beautiful. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jane. Before we go over to Ken and find out where we can connect with Ken, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's joined us live on Instagram. I see Robert Tidy just joined us as well. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, wherever you've joined us. Thank you so much for joining us live. Please do let us know what you got out of this conversation today. What's one thing you've learned today, or maybe one action you're going to take moving forward from this conversation today? Let us know in the comments. And we always love to hear where people are joining us from too. So let us know, where are you in the world right now? Let us know before we wrap up the show, and we can share it with the people here live. So Ken, where can people connect with you, my friend?
Really, really easy. So it is www.masteryweightloss.com. So www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. In there, you're going to find 4 ways you can connect with me. The very first one at the top of the list is a link to my mini educational boot camp. So I'm giving away my 3 secrets. My 3 secrets to help you finally lose that last 20 pounds, to help you finally conquer those sugar addictions, to help you finally break through those hunger issues, all of it. In just 3 short one-on-one sessions with me, you are going to be equipped with an empowered mindset. You are going to be equipped to spot the industry lies and avoid the common pitfalls of this industry. And 3, you will be equipped to see past the marketing deceptions of this industry. They put it all over their food packages, making you think what you're buying is healthy, as I mentioned earlier today on the show. And the reality is, when you turn the freaking thing over, which is my motto, to this boot camp, you discover a completely different story. I empower you with all of that in just 3 short one-on-one sessions with me. The boot camp literally has been valued at $1,500. The normal price for the boot camp is $97, but right now, because of the holidays, I am offering that boot camp for even lower. It is $75 right now. You got nothing to lose but those extra pounds. You got everything to gain in the right way, though. So once again, that is www.masteryweightloss.com/connect. The other links to connect with me, one's a link to book a discovery call with me. That is free. So if you even have some questions, book that call. I'd love a chance just to get to connect with you. Even if we don't work together, at least give me a chance to get to know you, hear your story. I would love to do that. There's a link in there to connect with me on Facebook. And lastly, there's a link in there to subscribe to my YouTube account, which I've got some wonderful videos in there, and I'm continuing to upload new stuff. So that is how you can connect with me. And I'm not necessarily going to do a quote today either. I am going to basically remind everybody of what I kind of already closed with. Invite him in. Invite him into what you're doing. Invite him into your journey. Invite him into whatever business venture or whatever you're on. Invite him into those things intentionally. Remember, ask, seek, and knock. It's not just a one-time thing.
Yeah, beautiful, Ken. Thank you so much for that. And for those who want to connect with me, just hop along to linktree/Aldwyn, linktr.ee/Aldwyn. In there, you will find my next event coming up, which is in just 2 days on Thursday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. That's the 21st of November. We have Propel Your Profile in 2025. 8 secrets to stand out and attract clients. You're going to love this. So if you are starting to think about putting yourself out there, then I recommend hop along. It is a free workshop we're doing for 2 hours. So 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time on Thursday, the 21st of November. So for those in America, our American friends, it will be your Wednesday night around the 6 p.m. Check the time zones, somewhere around there. Sometime in your night, depending which part of America you're in, of course. Might be 9 p.m. for some of you, the night before, which will be your Wednesday, the 20th of November. So check that out there, do the time conversions. Also, we have free resources there you'll find on my website, my calendar link, of course, and my YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out yet, we've just hit about 280,000 views across the 1,400 videos or so that I've got on my YouTube channel. So check that out there. You'll see it right on the screen, Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen TV, and that's also linked within the link tree as well. And I invite you to subscribe on there. I'm working to get my subscribers up on there, and we've got some amazing content, including our 84 other shows of Total Truth Show, as well as all Media Queen TV episodes, some of our Media Mavens show episodes. We've got some comedy in there. We've got some really cool reels, really great content. So hop along there and subscribe if you haven't already. And I suggest click the notifications bell so you get updated on our future events as well. We've got RM Ramesh has joined us. Good to see you, RM Ramesh Rajput. Hello, dear sister. Good evening. Hello. Hello, dear brother across the world. Good to see you. Billy Ginas has joined us on Instagram as well. Hello. Let us know, what have you got out of this show today? It's been an amazing show, and I do have some quotes to share. I've done a bit of searching online. I found some cool ones around our topic today. The great secret of getting what you want from life is to know what you want and believe you can have it. That's from Norman Vincent Peale. And some other great ones I found, getting some bonus ones today. If you don't make the time to work on creating the life that you want, you're going to spend a lot of time dealing with a life you don't want. That is from Kevin No. And then another one, this is by one of my favorite all-time mentors. We're talking about mentors, Jim Rohn. This one, when you know what you want and you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to get it. And this is the thing, a lot of people get stuck with the how to do things, right? If your why is big enough, the how will always show up. So that is my last thoughts there for you. Anything finally, Jay, Ken, you'd like to share before we wrap up this live stream?
I actually am going to share perhaps a quote. And this is actually from my mentor and coach in her book.
Calling Over Comfort. Nice. And that's from Francine
Ivy. We've interviewed her.
Francine Ivy, who we had on one of our shows. Yes, check out that show. That was a great show.
That was a great show.
I love that title.
Yes. Yes.
You too have a history of wins where God showed up for you. These memories are not just nostalgic nuances. They are fuel for your faith. They remind you that God has been faithful and will continue to be faithful. So when you're feeling stuck, don't obsess over the entire path ahead. Focus on the next steps because that's usually all you need to get you moving again. God has equipped you for this journey, one step at a time. So that's my
Beautiful.
section.
Thank you, Ken. That's absolutely beautiful. Enjoy the journey, my friends. Enjoy this amazing journey of life. It is a blessing to be here. Remember, you are 1 in a billion just by being born. You've beaten about 1 billion swimmers to get to the finish line. Okay, there's a reason you are here on the planet, and very grateful for you, for everyone who's joined us today. Thank you so much, Jay. It's been amazing having you as a guest on our show today.
And appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And of course, Ken, 85 episodes going strong. Woo-hoo. Amazing. We've still never met in person, by the way, Ken and I. So, we've been doing this show for about 3 years now. And you know what? I'm grateful for the pandemic, because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have met, Ken. So I'm very grateful. Very grateful for that. What are you grateful for today? There's a great question to ask yourself. Get into gratitude and you will be able to manifest and make happen more of what you want in life, the more grateful you are. Many blessings, sending you much love. Once again, we'll see you again next time on Total Truth Show. Bye for now. See you. Bye.